Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. I am Tucker, joined by my PNF 404 exploring co-host, Abram Beener, and today we are here to talk about the latest entry in the Pikmin franchise. But we're very big Pikmin fans, and we'd like to talk about Pikmin with you, the audience. And to do that, you can join our Discord, link in the description, and also to join us on this journey, collecting little bits and bobs like batteries and strawberries and planting flowers, growing Pikmin. You can subscribe to Backlog Banter, like the video, do all those bits and bobs, and come here to listen to Abram give us his initial impressions on Pikmin Bloom.
Yeah. So Tucker, here's the deal, right? Pikmin Bloom.
That's the deal. That is the deal today.
Announced several months ago with just an image.
Yes.
No information.
A concept,
if you will, right? From Niantic and Nintendo, a classic partnership brought us the earth-shattering Pokemon Go, right?
Yeah.
And so radio silence in the game. They say it's still coming in 2021. We don't believe them. But then yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, by the time you see this video, it was the 20th anniversary of the Pikmin series. And to celebrate, Nintendo and Niantic said, you know what? Here is Pikmin Bloom.
The game, yes.
Here's the game. It's out. But it's out. It has soft launched in Australia and in Singapore. Now, I am not in Australia or Singapore, but that's not what my Google Play Store had been led to believe.
Sure.
So I have installed Pikmin Bloom and I've been playing it here in Massachusetts. The reason I'm able to is because, like Pokemon Go's relationship to Ingress before it, Pikmin Bloom reuses the general template of Pokemon Go and Ingress and the Harry Potter game and everything. So the entire infrastructure for
Pikmin's always been based on Harry Potter. That's what
of course. Yes, it's been a well-guarded secret, but we'll let you all in on it. But so
J.K. Rowling invented Purple Pikmin.
But I will say the reason I really want to point that out is because, of course, like those games before it, this is a community-focused game.
Yes.
And so I am basically the only person within probably thousands of miles of my location right now playing the game. So it's important to contextualize it in that way, but I still want to give my first impressions so all of you guys know what you're getting into when this game launches here in America. I would say probably the next week.
Yeah.
I
say that's the assumption. I mean, launching a game on the anniversary of Pikmin, which is what that was intended for, leads me to believe that this is coming more imminently than if this had just been it's coming soon sort of thing. The game is out. And it is playable.
It's usually when this happens, it's just for stress testing the servers and not overwhelming people. So I would imagine that this is a very stressful game. Imminent. A very stressful game, yes. It's actually, Tucker, it's funny you say that because this is actually really not a stressful game. In fact,
that was kind of the joke that I was going for there.
It's far more of a passive, almost like a Pokewalker type application than it is a straight up Pokemon Go-esque game. Now, we solicited a bunch of questions from our friends on Twitter, and I want to answer these and kind of help fill in the blanks as to what Pikmin Bloom is, because that overview trailer didn't really give us much of anything besides just some cute CGI cinematics. So we want to do that. But Tucker, before I really get to my impressions, before we answer any questions, what did you think just based off of that trailer?
The trailer that we saw, there was a trailer sort of embedded in talking heads of Miyamoto and a guy from Niantic sort of talking about Pikmin Bloom is here and you can walk around and grow Pikmin and flowers and that community will be a guardian. It was a bunch of sort of fluff buzzwords about the idea of this game, but even from the in-game gameplay that we saw, it wasn't very clear what was happening. So it's going to be good to have some boots on the ground sort of first impressions from you. But I'm mostly interested in this on a conceptual level. The idea that we're getting a mobile game of the Pikmin series, which is not a very successful series sales-wise. It's not very popular. It certainly has its iconic status in Nintendo's fandom, but the idea that they're taking this franchise and creating this spinoff for it, I think is really interesting. The game itself, I don't know. I do take walks myself. I walk around campus. I walk around my neighborhood. It might be fun to just sort of have this passively existing, but I'll need to see if there is depth, how the community aspects play off one another, which of course you can't really answer too much, but you can probably answer some ground level stuff, and also how the game is supported, because unlike Pokemon, which has hundreds of creatures to add and events and stuff, I wonder how they're going to keep this game engaging over time rather than just something you think about for the first week that it exists.
No, I think that's all fair. And
to be concise, I'm not very interested in the game because it doesn't seem they don't really give me a reason to be interested in the game. I'm interested in the game for tangential other reasons.
No, I think that makes total sense. The reason that this always interested me, this concept of a Niantic Pikmin game, was because even if this game is 90% less successful than Pokemon Go,
yes,
it's going to be 40 times more successful than any other Pikmin game.
True. Yes.
And I think purely through the lens of exposure, this is really great for the Pikmin series.
Oh yeah. This is what I mean, not counting the ports. This is the 3.75th Pikmin game or something stupid like that. It's a very small series. And this will probably be, I mean, more than likely be the most successful entry in the series by a significant margin.
Yeah, I would imagine so. At least I would hope so. And so to give my high level impressions of the game, it is a reason to get outside. It reminds me, it actually reminds me, like I said, of the Poke Walker. It also reminds me of is it Miitomo was the first Nintendo smartphone app? Mm-hmm. Yes. In the sense that
a good amount of that, actually.
Yeah, in the sense that this is a more passive experience. It's more about...
Does Miitomo still exist?
No, it does not exist anymore. It's since been shut down. But it's more about passivity. It's about being in this Nintendo space. And it really is a blue ocean centric initiative. This is not really for the hardcore player. I don't think the sort of player that plays Pokemon Go every day and catches Pokemon and participates in raids and in their different factions, warring control over gyms and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Pikmin Bloom is for them. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that means that Pikmin Bloom is without merit, because to the contrary, I think that it was a lot of fun, and I played it for about an hour this morning, and that's what I'm speaking from the perspective of right now. Mm-hmm. I plan to keep playing at the beginning of my day before I go to breakfast, walk around campus a little bit, and just experience it, because the hook of the game really is about walking. In a lot of senses in Pokemon Go, walking was a means towards the Pokemon things, right? Like, this is a good way to get out, but really you're playing it to go find the Pokemon. You're playing to capture the gym.
Go somewhere else to find Pokemon that are only in certain places. Go to a PokeStop or a gym that is only in one place, so you have to physically get there to get it. I think that was why that worked really well. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, probably what you're about to get into, how this differs.
Yeah, because this experience is far more about the Pikmin elements supplementing the walk, supplementing you getting outside. Because I think perhaps the biggest distinction is that there is a lot less moment-to-moment gameplay to be had here, right? Okay. Even if seeing a Pokemon pop up on your map, clicking on it and catching it was not a very complex action, you're basically, if you lived in even a somewhat populated area, you were always being stimulated with a new Pokemon to catch, something like that.
Yeah.
In my experience with my first PlayStation Pikmin Bloom, that was not the case. The way you get Pikmin is not to see them on the overworld and pluck them. It's to plant them as seeds, grow those seeds through hitting X number of steps, similar to how you'd hatch an egg in Pokemon Go. And then that Pikmin could be used to produce a flower after feeding it nectar. That flower can be used to walk and plant flowers in the overworld. And the hook of the game is to populate the map with flowers. It is to, as I'll demonstrate, I'll show some screenshots. It is to see these little sprouts where the PokeStops are and grow them into flowers. And from my understanding, those will turn into various things you can interact with. We've seen some people on Twitter showing their Pikmin attacking a mushroom or attacking another type of plant. I'm sure there might be Bulborbs there eventually in sort of a raid battle-esque system, but it's far more about walking and accruing steps to accrue Pikmin to plant flowers and kind of falling into that gameplay loop of engaging with your environment opposed to being in your environment to engage with the Pokemon experience.
That actually does make a lot more sense now that you explain it from that level. I think what it comes down to, thinking about that loop, is there sort of a cap to that? Does the area fill up with flowers and you can no longer grow any flowers? Is there a max amount of Pikmin you can have? Do your Pikmin die off and you have to grow a new one? Is there sort of a peak to this game where functionally you can't really do anything more because you've done everything in the area that you're in?
Yeah, that's a question that I want to answer in about a week from now. I would like to actually make another video probably a week from today, actually, and just see where I am, see how my experience has unfolded. But honestly, that's kind of my highest level impressions. There's a lot more I want to say about it, but a lot of it will be answered by the questions we've received. So Tucker, if it would oblige you, I think we should hop right into those.
Yeah, and because you will be answering them, I have your tweet open, so I'm going to read the comments here.
I would make one request. We start with Nathan because I think his is probably
that was the first one, so that's where I was starting. The first question comes from Nathan Scalingworth, but that's his thing. His is at Nathan Destroy. His question is, how much is there to do besides the core conceit of helping flowers bloom? I worry there isn't actually that much game to play. Are there things to find, to unlock? Can you level your player up?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of touched on this to an extent. It's a far more passive. It is about walking. The game actually can play in the background. You can connect it to Google Fit, and it basically becomes sort of like a step counter in a sense. Like I just got a notification actually an hour ago that says today's steps 10,085. You walked a lot today.
You did. I mean, I don't know how much I walk in a day.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty sedentary person, all things considered.
Well, the funny thing is you're supposed to get 10,000 steps in a day, but 10,000 steps is a lot for the life that most people live. Okay. But so the point is I haven't played since this morning, and I had about 2,000 or 3,000 steps when I was done playing my session, but it tracked another 7,000. So when I hop back into the game, I will have more Pikmin that are grown, I'll have more things to collect, and so on and so forth. So it's important to note that the game is passive in that sense. Sure. To specifically go through Nathan's points here, are there things to find, to unlock? Can you level your player up? Yes, there is a level up system very similar to Pokemon Go, and there are various things you have to achieve. Sometimes it is grow a certain number of Pikmin, sometimes it is walk a certain number of steps, so on and so forth. And in doing so, you level up your character, who's actually your me. You get to play as your me. In my experience, I did not link my Nintendo account, so it is not my me that is kind of unified across the mobile games and my Switch. Instead, it is a basic me that I started to build out with very basic options.
There is a me creator within the game.
Yes, a very, very limited one. It is nowhere near what you would find in the Switch or in 3DS or Wii or Wii or whatever you're familiar with. I'm not sure why that is. Yeah. My assumption is that
it seems like a slight missed opportunity.
Yeah,
actually pretty major one actually.
I'm playing in the soft launch period. I actually set up my character last night before my app was called Pikmin Bloom. It was just called Pikmin app last night. I got the full title update this morning, so it's very possible that when more people
day one patch, the game is called what it's supposed to be called.
Yes. Yeah, it's very possible that when other people play, when this rolls out to more countries, there'll be more options. But my assumption is that I will start to unlock more costumes for me through this level up system. And as he asks here, things to unlock and to find, you get different badges that are basically like completion milestones for catching a certain number of Pikmin, walking a certain number of steps. And so I'll be interested to see how tangible the rewards get. Of course, as you level up, you get, here's suddenly more planters to put more Pikmin seeds in. Here are more Pikmin seeds. Here are more flowers to use, more items. Sort of when you level on Pokemon Go, it's basically the same premise. Yeah. So if you found that sort of level up system satisfying, I think it's gonna
RPG mechanics.
Yes, I think your enjoyment of the Pokemon Go level up system will translate to Pikmin Bloom.
Yeah, sure. All right, next question. I'm going one down. Comes from Boo Randon Alveldo.
Yes.
Who says, how cute are the Pikmin?
The answer, Brandon, is very cute. And so here's the deal. I think that the Pikmin...
hold on. That is an interesting question. Yes. I mean, obviously, it's more of a joke thing. Pikmin are going to look like what Pikmin has looked like for 20 years now. But there is the next step to that, which is this is the newest Pikmin game. And it's a Pikmin game with a large budget and production value, presumably because Niantic is working on it. Niantic has that experience. Yeah. Is there a lot of animation to the Pikmin? Do they do cute things? Do they interact with things in fun ways?
The answer is yes. So you have effectively, the actual gameplay of walking about and exploring that area. But you can whistle, as similar to the whistle in the Pikmin games, to gather up your Pikmin. And then
is that a Pikmin reference?
It is a Pikmin reference. And then you can interact with them that way. You can feed them nectar to make them into flower Pikmin. Yeah. You can collect fruit from them that they have picked up as you guys were walking together. And you can also turn on the AR camera, and that's sort of where a lot of the fun is. It's of course, the AR photo mode of Pokemon Go is a lot of fun, and it's the same principle here. I was playing in the middle of a fucking ridiculous storm this morning, so some of these pictures I took indoors in the science center here on campus because I didn't want to get rained on. But like you can see your Pikmin walking around and they'll have fruit.
Sure.
Of course, then they'll start to lie down and do the Jeff Goldblum pose and hang out. You can get them outside all bunched up together. There's a lot of flexibility there. And as I was playing further, there are different types of nectar I was collecting. And I'm assuming that those are going to give them different properties. And as I get different types of Pikmin, different interactions. And so I think that, again, feeding into the passivity and just the fun of being in the Pikmin world, messing around with them, taking these AR photos is going to really be integral to, I think, how you're enjoying the game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I wasn't really thinking about it from variety in terms of variety of Pikmin also being something you can unlock and those maybe interacting with things in different ways. But that does add a level of complexity, simple complexity, sort of base level complexity of the factors of the Pikmin series factoring into this game, but something I wasn't really considering.
And I just want to note actually on that point, because I don't think any of the questions really address it. But the music is also really pleasant. The sort of sounds of Pikmin are here, and I just was playing with my headphones in, just listening to the sort of overworld exploration music was really nice as I was walking. So that ambiance, that experience of being in the Pikmin world, I think is central to how much you're going to enjoy Bloom.
In the hour or so that you played, did you discover, or were there multiple songs, or was it just sort of one overworld song?
It seemed I experienced 2 tracks so far.
Okay,
so we'll see.
Yeah. And of course, that also could be updated as the game
I'm sure it
further continues to be launched.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Doug, who asks, how do microtransactions work in the game? That's actually something I'm very interested about. Do you think it might be necessary or totally not? How is the PokeStop mechanics working in the game?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Those are very good questions.
He also says, look forward to seeing the video. Thank you very much, Doug.
Much obliged, Doug.
Tip my headphones.
Tip my imaginary hat. I did look at the shop.
Okay.
The shop has, of course, so like in Pokemon Go, there is a coin currency, and that can be spent on various things. It can be spent on more nectar. It can be spent on new planters, so you can plant more Pikmin and grow them faster, sort of like the incubators for eggs in Pokemon Go. You can buy more of this resource that lets you plant flowers in the overworld, which is really kind of the hook of the game, right? Is planting those flowers. And so I'm curious how the economy is going to shake out as to whether or not it's going to be necessary. You can spend anywhere from a $2 increment to $150 increment.
Yeah, that's usually how these mobile games go. They give you one top thing that's the best fucking deal you're ever gonna get in your life. Whoa, look at how much shit you get for this. But no one's gonna buy that, and especially for this game, I can't see that being necessary at all. And in fact, I can kind of see it being detrimental to the overall experience, considering how passive it is and how little there is to do complexity wise. Nectar is what you're going for, and spending money on the nectar negates the experience of the game.
The reason I say that we'll see is because I was able to, based on the starting Pikmin I had, based on the starting resources you get when you make your account, I was able to plant flowers for 30 minutes, planted about 500 something flowers. I received 1 coin for that. You're supposed to get coins based on planting flowers. Now,
I see.
My assumption is that is an error, because that makes absolutely no sense based on the prices that you'd have to spend coin wise to buy things from the shop.
Sure. Okay. What's the lowest coin number for like a nectar or 5 nectar or whatever?
I can actually let me open up the app as we're talking here.
Honestly, I thought you had it open right now.
I was looking at my screenshots. I want to say it was 10
coins for the lowest. Okay.
And by the way, great little loading screen, similar to the ones from Pokemon Go.
Pikmin art is always phenomenal. Yeah. I love any source of official Pikmin art that we can get.
For sure. Here we go. I am going to look at my store. They're just giving me some more information right here. Talking about how you can pick different photos. So the just give me notifications. It wants me to do things. I'm sorry, Pikmin, I can't do that right now. But as you see, there is step-based progression. So I'm getting different milestones as I hit 10,000 steps for the day, and I'm progressing alongside this track, giving me a new record for the day. I suppose I'll be competing against my records, and now they're asking me, how was my day?
Oh, that's fun.
The power and the Wi-Fi have been out on my campus all day. It's been a clusterfuck. The dining hall's been a mess. Everybody, it's been a disaster. But I've been playing Pikmin, so I'll still give it a smiley face for the day.
Interesting.
This is all in service of trying to get to the storefront. Here's my photo for the day. I suppose I can choose a different one, but I'll just save this one. So there's kind of my record for the day, a little sure, encapsulation. Okay. So I think that's cute. Again, about the journaling, about that passive experience. But here we go. I think I can get into the store now. Yeah, here's the shop. Okay, yeah. So I misspoke. It seems here that the cheapest thing we can buy are the petals. The petals are what you use to plant flowers. It's 50 coins for a pack of petals.
Let's think about that biologically. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
Yeah. But the point is that would mean
that's a lot considering you got one.
I got 1 coin for half an hour worth of flowers planting. That doesn't make any sense at all. That suggests to me that is an early bug. I mean, I'm playing so early on that I'm sure that the metrics aren't calculated right. I wouldn't be as surprised at the fact that I'm playing in the States is affecting that too.
Okay.
Because either this is perhaps the most grindy mobile game I've seen in my entire life, or right now there's an issue with how currency is being dispensed, which I think is probably more likely, given this isn't Niantic's first rodeo. And Pokemon Go has certainly there's a conversation we had around its monetization, but it's certainly nowhere near that. So it's something to keep an eye on. That's something I'll check back in on after I've played for a week, and we can see if I felt compelled to spend. There is a sort of starter pack that I'm going to buy. That's I think $250 or so. It's like your introductory offer. You get a bunch of items. So I'll probably do that. Just throw a couple coins Niantic's way. But
yeah, they need your money. The little indie company.
Yes. The other part of his question: how is the PokeStop mechanic in this game? And so this is something that I can't quite answer yet. As you can see in this screenshot here, there are little flower buds in the background, and they grow up into larger flowers. That is predicated on the flowers that you are placing by walking around them.
Okay.
Because I'm playing by myself, I wasn't able to sprout any of these flowers completely.
Sure.
So ultimately, I don't know what that mechanic does yet. Again, there aren't enough people playing. There isn't enough data on the game out yet, but that is going to become integral. And again, I believe that's where you're going to be able to use your Pikmin to interact, to take down mushrooms, to clear paths and get items, or perhaps fight Bulborbs. That I don't think we've seen any confirmation of. That's sort of just my natural assumption. So that we will answer when I can.
Yes. Okay. We got a couple more questions. The final question on your tweet comes from Blake Jonesy, who asks, do you have to walk or can you bike or skateboard?
So the game, like Pokemon Go, has the top level speed thing. It will not let you play if you're moving too fast. For Pokemon Go, it's to prevent people from playing while they were driving, and it's the same thing here with Pikmin Bloom. They even give you the same pop-ups of you're going too fast if it thinks that you're moving too quickly, or don't play Pokemon Go when you're driving, or if you're going too fast, it says click here to ensure that you're a passenger, right?
Which, by the way, is horse shit.
Yeah.
If you're driving and you're playing Pokemon Go, it's very easy to hit that. Oh, I'm a passenger.
Yeah, it's basically just to cover Niantic's ass. But on a practical level, I'll take my skateboard out next time I go and I'll ride around. But ultimately, it knows the difference. I used to play Pokemon Go on my bike quite often, so I think you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah. But people bike a Pokemon Go all the time, and obviously it's built on the same framework. So I would think that there's probably a similar thing.
Yeah, that's really important to just keep noting. This is a Pikmin game on top of Pokemon Go, so a lot of what was true there is going to be true here also.
I've got a couple more questions that came from my retweet of your tweet and people commenting on that. One question coming from Filter, who asks, "Are there bread bugs?" And I'm assuming that's a Pikmin thing.
Yes. Yes.
Can you answer that?
Yes. Well, the bread bugs are an enemy. I encountered no PvE.
Okay.
In my gameplay. I'm not sure we have seen confirmation that PvE is in this game. I would be very surprised if it isn't. But as of right now, I saw none of it, and I saw no indication that it was in the game. I got no pop-up to that effect. I got no items that seems like they would be helpful in the context of battle. Like there's a spray in Pikmin 3 that you can spray on your Pikmin to make them more feisty in battle.
Yes.
I saw nothing like that. So I'm going to say right now that nothing tells me that there's PvE in the game, but that does not mean it's not in there.
Yeah, there certainly could be something that they're just letting you get a handle on the base mechanics before they allow you the option of
Yeah.
even encountering that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe you have to hit level 5 or something like that. Because I know in Pokemon Go, you had to be a certain level to attack a gym, to trade. They wanted you to figure out how to walk around, do the catching mechanics. How does the box work? How does leveling up your Pokemon work? Whatever, before they gave you access to that. So there could be sort of a level-based rollout of mechanics.
I mean, there's already a level-based rollout for the color of Pikmin you receive, so I'm assuming it'll be no different on mechanical level. But again, we'll answer that in our next video on the game.
The final question comes from Delta Dark, who asks, when can I get it? Which we can't answer. We're not Niantics. And
we can't
don't know.
We can't answer it, but I can tell you, if you have an Android, it really is not that hard to download the game right now. It's basically as simple as having a VPN and making a second Google account.
Okay.
So a little bit
making a Google account takes 35 seconds.
Yeah, a little bit of research will get you answers on that front.
The final question, again from Delta Dark, this is the second part of that question, asks, how exactly do the Pikmin function? What control do you have over them?
Yeah, so again, as of right now, not a whole lot. They are passive. In my experience, they were basically entirely passive. I interacted with them to take fruit from them. They collected as we were walking, and to give them nectar so they could turn into flower Pikmin.
Sure.
And then we could walk together to plant flowers. Now, we see in the trailer, and I saw on Twitter, again, people throwing Pikmin at a mushroom.
Okay.
So my assumption is that, like I said, when I'm able to sprout those flowers, those will become things I can interact with my Pikmin. Because as you play, as people who are familiar with the Pikmin games know, you can have up to 100 Pikmin following you. Here, you have the ability to have more Pikmin follow you as you increase your player level.
Okay.
So that to me seems like a control over how you're going to interact with various things in the environment. So you can't just blitz a harder challenge early on. So I imagine that there will be more interaction on that front, but as of right now, like the entire experience, it's been passive.
Yeah, no, I honestly, this all makes me a lot more interested in the game. And frankly, to get outside and walk around more, which is obviously what this is intended for. And I do think that placing Pikmin into this context that will get more eyes on it and allows a Nintendo fan like me to just always sort of have Pikmin in the back of my mind as it's now on my phone, and I'll be hearing things as they give this updates and, going into the future. This is really cool. It's a different kind of experience, and it'll be interesting to see if they continue creating more experiences like this. Pokemon Go is its own thing. It sort of died down in their market. They had a couple other mobile games, but this does seem like sort of its own idea, especially obviously for Pikmin as a series. And I'm excited to try it. I actually do really wish that I had an Android. I'm a stupid little guy with an iPhone right here. So I can't get it for an indiscriminate period of time, but I would love to give my thoughts. Hopefully next time we're able to, or when we're doing our recap of this or
totally
later.
I mean, my plan is to play this game every morning. It fits into my life nicely because I am awful at getting out of bed in the morning. And so I'm going to be using Pikmin Bloom as a reason to get up, get my fucking dumbass out of bed at like 8 or 8:30 in the morning, go for a walk, and then go to breakfast. Because I am still self-conscious. I was self-conscious of playing Pokemon Go in public. It's the same thing with Pikmin Bloom. I'm fucking like squatting down to try to take pictures with my AR camera of Pikmin. People are like, what am I? No, I gotta get over it. But if I go in the morning, not many people
Pikmin Bloom will make you a better person. That's what I think the tagline of this game is.
It should be. But Tucker, that's about all I have to say about the game so far.
No, I mean, honestly, we covered pretty much everything I can think of for this game. I'm very pleased with the variety, pleased as punch, as you might say, with the variety of questions we got today. Each one sort of covering a different topic, and we've sort of run the gamut. So if you have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments of this video. You can approach either of us on Twitter. Our Twitters are in the description, and feel free to ask us stuff. And when we do a 1 week later video, and I have my impressions, we can answer more questions.
Totally. Like I said, I'll be checking out the game each day, and so we'll cross the Pikmin Bloom Bridge again very shortly.
All right. Bye-bye. Is that's your